Hey, good evening. You are at the planning board meeting for the city of Bangor. It is March 18th, 2025. Time is 7 o'clock. My name is Reese Perkins, chairman of the board. The board members in attendance this evening are Michael Bazinet, Ted Brush, Vice Chair Jonathan Boucher, Tricia Hayes, Ken Hume, and Janet Jonas. Board members are volunteers from the Bangor community. City staff members in attendance this evening include Planning Officer Anya Collette, Assistant Solicitor Grace Innes, and Planning Analyst Brian Scannell. We thank them all for their help with this meeting. First order of business is old business, the meeting minutes from March 4th, 2025. And I would hear any modifications or comments if anyone has any, and if not, we could go right to a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
That was Ken. Member Hume, motion to approve. A second, Member Brush. And any other concerns? Seeing none, roll call vote. Member Bazinet?
Yes.
Member Boucher?
Yes.
Member Brush?
Yes.
Member Hayes?
Yes.
Member Hume?
Yes.
Member Jonas?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes, so unanimous approval of the March 4th, 2025 meeting minutes as they were presented. I'll do my introduction first before we get to new business. And so the planning board has two main roles. The first is to review the land development code and amendments to the land development code, which typically include either changes to zoning districts or changes to text within the code. Our review of these amendments includes adherence to the comprehensive plan, as well as considering any applicable concerns from the public. Our vote on these items is in the form of a recommendation to the city council as to whether the item ought to pass or ought not to pass. The city council makes the final decision on changes to zoning and land development code. And that would happen typically at their next meeting, which would be next Monday night. Second, we serve as the regulatory authority for land development permits, commonly known as site plan review. We do not have any of those this evening, so I'll skip any more on that. But I will mention that city codes and standards and the comprehensive plan can be found on the city's website. Before we get started with this one new business item that we have, I'll just provide a little bit of general information. When we call your agenda item, the applicant is welcome to come up to the podium and provide a brief introduction to the proposal. And if they could stay at the podium, we will hear from staff and hear from board members if they have any questions for the applicant. Once that is over, you can be seated, and we will take any public comments. If there are any public comments, at the moment there isn't really any public here. For public comments, if a person is here, they would come to the podium. On Zoom, we will bring them into the meeting. They need to state if they're a Bangor resident or an abutter of the property and indicate if they are for or against the proposal. It is helpful for the public to present their thoughts based upon city codes and standards and the comprehensive plan, as those are the primary documents we use to make our decisions. All comments and discussions should remain respectful and considerate of others. Once public comments are completed, we will close that item of public comments. The board will then deliberate on the proposal and vote on the recommendation. Once project has been reviewed, you are welcome to leave. You don't have to stay. We will move on to whatever other business we have this evening. So with that all being said, tonight's one item is to amend the land development code by changing a parcel of land located at 44 Center Street, which is map lot 041-100, from urban residence 2 to downtown development district. Said area of land contains approximately 0.18 acres and is more particularly indicated on the map, which is in the board's packets and is made a part of this application. The applicant is William King. Are you Mr. King by chance? Okay, thank you. And the owner is Sandra Noble?
Not, it's me. We closed early, so I'm now the owner.
Yes. Yeah.
Senator Noble's no longer involved.
Oh, is that right? Okay. She's not the owner of the property anymore?
Nope.
So you went ahead and purchased it?
Yep, I did.
Okay, and that's, the sale's complete?
Yep, sales fully complete, finished Thursday last week.
Okay, that's good to know, thank you. Actually, I think it makes everything easier, doesn't it, Cindy?
Yeah.
It works? No problem with that? Good. So we will have you come up, if you would, and just give us a brief introduction, what's happening, and then we'll go from there.
Hello, everybody. My name is William King. I am brand new to Bangor. I just moved to Hamden and Bangor area from Seattle a month ago. I've purchased a piece of property, 44 Center Street, just closed on it last week, and trying to get it aligned with the comprehensive plan. Under the comprehensive plan, it's supposed to be the downtown development district, but historically, it's been the residential district. The history, as best I know it, for the last 20 or so years, it's been an accounting firm, so it hasn't actually been used according to zoning. And I just want to get to correct it, and that's my request.
Excellent, thank you. Stay right up there if you would. Comments from staff? Okay. Board questions? Trish?
I'm just confused by the dates because the application is dated February 24, 2024.
Might have been a typo.
And then the letter from Sandra Noble is dated 4/29/24. So just,
Well, I guess the letter from her doesn't matter anymore since he's the owner, so.
Right. And I filled out the form, I probably typed it.
okay, it should be 25, okay.
Yeah.
Because the payment date was 25, so that's what I guessed.
It's
but I
good
wanted to
pickup,
be
actually,
sure.
yeah. She's paying attention.
Yeah. Devil's in the details.
That's right. Any other board questions?
I don't have a question, I just want to say that I'm in favor of this to clean things up and make things what they need to be, and I appreciate your looking into how it needs to conform to the comprehensive plan. Thank you.
Excellent. I'm going to ask, and this is probably a question more for staff, assuming you were directed to go towards downtown development district, or did you pick that?
So after checking out the property, I went to stop by the library, and actually the library staff was super helpful. We went through and read through all the different code options. As I looked at it and then looked up on the website what was adjacent to it, DDD made total sense. It's adjacent to it, and then when I dug into the comprehensive plan, it looked like DDD was actually the official one, and so that's what I went to talk to staff, and at the staff meeting, they were like, yeah, DDD made sense, so.
Okay.
Yeah, so we, this area is kind of part of the whole downtown realignment area that we were looking at for a couple different things. We were looking at, our business improvement district that's in this area, and we were looking at TIF. We were also looking at the zoning, and we were waiting till we do the land development code rewrite to change the zoning. But these particular parcels, we were looking at potentially changing to DTD eventually. And along with that, as Mr. King mentioned, the comprehensive plan shows this in the downtown development area. So to us, it just made sense for it to be that way.
Thank you. I was concerned, I kind of want to toss this out for board's input because the concern I had is considering architecturally, if you look at the pictures, this is, in my mind, typical of a 1 or 2 family building in the city of Bangor. And I think probably what happened at one time is there were more residences there, and then the development sort of grew up around it. But it's not what you would typically think of as a downtown development district building that fronts right onto the sidewalk and doesn't have a lot of green space around it. There is at least a little bit of space around this building. Would you say that's more or less true?
I would say the building itself, if you go in it, it does seem like it at one point was a home, but as best I can tell, when you're walking through it, it doesn't have any of the amenities that you would normally consider in a home. And it's got a parking lot for 9 cars right next to it. It does butt right up against behind the library, and so all of that library green space is right there adjacent. But it is more like If you go down the road and a few blocks over, there's a lot of like small like law firm type small businesses, and it fits in with that.
Yeah.
And I think that's what historically it's been used for.
Yeah. And I'm not, don't take me wrong, I'm certainly not against this being used as office space. I think it's a very good use for the space. The Schedule A of the code, where we have the design requirements for the different zones, it says that a downtown development district has no maximum height. So the building could be built, not that you're gonna go 100 feet, but I mean, there's nothing that says you couldn't go 100 feet, let's say. There is no minimum lot area, there is no maximum lot coverage, or minimum lot width, or minimum front yard depth. Or, I mean, there's almost no restrictions on downtown development, which when I think of the buildings that are in downtown, that are on the sidewalk, there is nothing around them but other buildings. There are buildings against buildings against buildings, but this is not that kind of architecture up there. That's really not quite that same way. There is a water setback, which doesn't really matter because you're not right on the water. And so to me, I felt more that urban service district was a better zone because it does hold some restrictions on those things. For example, maximum district height is 45 feet. Minimum lot area is 10,000 square feet. It's existing, so I don't know that that really matters at this point. Lot coverage is 40%. Minimum lot width is 80 feet. And so there are just some things that are kind of more typical of the architecture of that particular building. It still allows you, urban service district still allows you to use it as office space. So it doesn't limit that, your ability to make this office space, as far as I know. And certainly, correct me if I'm wrong on this.
It doesn't, but, when it comes to mixed commercial residential, which is what a lot of people are interested in, it makes it a conditional use. You have to meet the impervious surface requirements of URD2, and then you're limited to 4 units. So a lot of people, USD is actually pretty limiting for them. And you'll actually find too that, those buildings across the street that are USD are what you're talking about, a more traditional downtown look, but they're also zoned USD. And I'm not really sure why they chose that in particular. But I remember like Ann describing once about USD being kind of what we're looking for when we're in those corridor transition zones, like going down Main Street to Hamden, that area. And then like going down State Street towards Beasy, that's more like USD area and it makes sense for them. So I just want to point that out.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that begs the next question, which would be, is there other better zoning? Again, I'm trying to find a good solution here. I'm not trying to fight you at all, so I hope you don't get that.
No, I understand.
But I also am concerned a little bit about neighbors, particularly your neighbors sort of upstream of where you are. I think there's another house that's sort of similar to this one, possibly, and then there's the stone church, right?
Yeah, I would say the upstream house is more like a multifamily complex. And so the construction of 44 Center and then the one upstream are pretty distinct from each other. And then actually across the street is a utility. And so actually on the, I think it's a title or the electrical utility has a covenant where it can be pretty loud, and 44 Center really can't complain anymore. But then just south of that is the UU Church as well.
Yeah. So, let's say we change this to, I'll make it theoretical. And again, I'm trying to get the board to think, so that, hopefully you guys have some opinion on this, because I don't want to be the only one hanging out here, but if we allowed this to go to downtown development district, it certainly is possible that you could sell the property, say in a year or two, and it could be completely built up, similar to buildings downtown.
Yeah,
That's where my concern comes from. And I'm not sure how the neighbors would feel about that. How many offices are in there by now, by right,
So
at the moment?
best I could tell, it was set up with one large room for storage, one for like an open reception room, and then 4 dedicated like small suite offices, accounting firm. So a desk or 2 in each. That's how it was set up previously.
Can you imagine it staying more or less the same?
I don't have plans for changing it structurally in the next short term. I'm more trying to fix the foundation. There's 2 corners of it are basically falling in. So I'm not comfortable putting office space back into it until that's resolved.
Member Hugh?
Yeah, when I looked at it, and I looked at the various ways it could be changed zoning-wise, I was comfortable with the 2 or 3 ways it could be zoned. And he's the owner, and he put his money into it, and that's the way he wanted to do it. And I'm comfortable with all of the uses that those other areas provided for. So I was okay with the whole thing.
So you're pretty good with it being a downtown development district?
Yeah.
That's what you're saying?
Yeah. I mean, even if he wanted to build up around it and stuff, I mean, that's what the downtown, he might make it, could be partly a store and partly apartments. It could be, you know, a lot of things.
I just want to reiterate again to, you know, one of your biggest guiding principles is whether you feel aligns with the comprehensive plan, so just want to get your thoughts on that too.
That was the whole point of him doing this, right?
Yeah, that's right.
To get it into alignment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts, board members? No? Okay. I am willing to go to a motion on this guy. I should, I guess, before I do that, make sure we don't have any public comments. I see none because I see nobody. Okay, so I'm gonna close this to public comments. And you can be seated or you can stay up. This will only take a moment, so let's go to a motion unless board members have any other. Member Human?
Yeah, I move that we recommend the city council a zone change for 44 Center Street, map lot 041-100-Urban Residence 2 District to Downtown Development District, to amend the Land Development Code by changing a parcel of land located at 44 Center Street, map lot 041-100 from Urban Residence 2 District to Downtown Development District. Said area of land contains approximately 0.18 acres total and is more particularly indicated on a map attached hereof and made part hereof applicant William King.
Thank you. A second by member Basnet, thank you. A roll call vote, member Basnet?
Yes?
Member Boucher?
Yes.
Member Brush?
Yes.
Member Hayes?
Yes.
Member Hume?
Yes.
Member Jonas?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. So you have unanimous approval from us, but it is not really an approval until it gets through the city council. So ours is, I don't know, I didn't
Ought to pass.
ask if it was a motion ought to pass. You did, okay, thank you. So we're all set with that. So we'll then go to city council on Monday night, and from there, you'll be all set.
Sounds great.
Assuming they go with it.
That's
Okay?
Okay.
Thank you for coming. Welcome to Bangor, by the
Thank
way.
you.
Yeah. All right. Other business this evening? Thoughts on the land development code? Land use planning? You guys want to get out early. Janet's not right. Comments, questions? If not, I mean, I went to the, I will say, I went to the planning board, the city council meeting last night, it lasted about this long, which was nice. So,
Wow.
yeah, so, all that being said,